The PDP.
This press conference is organized by the governorship candidate of the Labour Party in Taraba State, Mr. Philip. He is here to announce his endorsement of the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Abu.
The Taraba State leadership of the CPPN, after critically examining the gubernatorial candidates and looked at their antecedent and capacity for the forthcoming governorship election, has decided to support the candidacy of Lieutenant Colonel Abu Kefas, PhD, of the People's Democratic Party.
However, his decision is not going down well with the party's leadership, who believe his action is motivated by personal gains.
Philip Mulip is not the leader of Labour Party or gubernatorial candidate of Labour Party in the state. Thus, his claim that the party leadership in the state and himself endorse the PDP candidate is highest mischief and of no effect, as the party at no time in the state has abandoned her principal, Peter Obi, or their guest to take over the government of Taraba come 18 March 2023.
In a related development, the All Progressives Congress in Taraba State says the coast is now clear for its governorship candidate, Senator Emmanuel Bwacha, to contest the governorship election on Saturday.
As people who respect the rule of law, who respect the court, we decided to go to court to seek clarification from INEC itself, because we always thought, and truly too, that INEC cannot assume the powers of the court. INEC has no right under the Constitution or the Electoral Act to refuse a name submitted by a political party. It is entirely the prerogative of the political party to produce candidates for elective positions in the country. Everybody knows that this is the law. And since that name was resubmitted to INEC, there has never been a challenge in court. Nobody has gone to court to challenge the outcome of the primaries as of the time I'm speaking here.
Legal tussles had trailed the emergence of the party's governorship candidate, and the party believes all that is now behind as they hope to emerge victorious on Saturday, March 18.
Welcome back. Yes, indeed, we kick off with developments in Taraba State concerning Labour Party. So we've got James Benjamin, who is the Secretary of Labour Party in Taraba. He joins us first, but we'll get others joining us as we progress. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program today. Well, perhaps we should start by telling us, well, what is the current situation now? Because it appears there are two people laying claim to the party's candidacy in Taraba State on the party. What's the situation now?
Thank you, Mr. Chamberlain, for having me. The truth of the matter is this. Philip Mulip, Evangelist Philip Mulip, I beg your pardon, was our party's candidate for governorship. But at some point, we got to have a resolution looking at the nature of Taraba State. If we're going to field a candidate that can give PDP a run for whatever they think they have, we need somebody with the war chest, somebody with the records, somebody with the pedigree, somebody with the political abilities, like Joel Kenya, that can come on board and actually make us succeed in this election. And so that was how we reached a consensus. In fact, the meeting was held with the middle belt leadership, and they advised Evangelist Philip to pick up a senatorial ticket in Taraba Central Zone, which he agreed. And from there, they went to court, Federal High Court, and he wrote his withdrawal letter from the governorship race and backed it up with an affidavit. And that was how the whole thing went. And we were surprised that in the middle of the thing, he just turned and said he wrote the withdrawal this thing under duress. You know, I'm taken aback. I don't understand what duress means in this concept. So, but right now, the party has conducted primaries, and which the court case has dissolved all of them, and ordered us to conduct another fresh primaries, which we did again, I think sometimes last month we did. And at the eve of the primaries, Evangelist Philip and his team withdrew that they are not going to be party to that primaries again. We went ahead and did the primaries, and distinguished Senator Joel Kenya won with a landslide. And so that is where we are. And right now, so far we are concerned in Taraba State, he is our candidate.
Well, what happens to him, because he still insists that he is the candidate, that he is going to go ahead and contest that elections. In fact, the court ruling also. You didn't tell us about that court decision concerning himself and Philip, because the senator is challenging that court decision which affirms him as the candidate. Isn't that the case?
Now, what is there is he went to court, and the court disqualify and nullify everything we did. And so we organized a fresh primary for both of them, so that the whole thing can be done and dusted. And so, like I said earlier, at the eve of the primaries, he withdrew. And so we had to go ahead to conduct the primaries again, the fresh primaries this time around. And that brought up distinguished Senator Joel Kenya again as our governorship candidate. And right now, what we are hearing in the party is that he has gone to court again to challenge that. You know, Evangelist Philip is somebody I respect so much, and I hold in high esteem. But whatever is pushing up some of these strategies is something we are yet to understand. But I know that he knows what he's doing, and he's going to do the right thing when the time comes.
Yeah. I'm just wondering that if the House is still not together before the governorship elections, which is just coming up this Saturday, how do you think you're going to fare at the polls? Because we also see that you're up against, you know, major political parties like the APC and the PDP. And we saw how the PDP fared in the presidential elections. I mean, there will be grave concerns for your party if the House is still not together, even at this time.
Thank you very much, Maokwe. I want to assure you that our candidate, distinguished Senator Joel Kenya, is ready. In the history of Taraba politics, if you follow the history of Taraba politics, this is the only candidate that gave, during the 2011 election, that gave PDP a run for whatever they hold as their pride. He gave them a serious shocker during that election. So he has what it takes. In fact, as I'm talking to you, Senator Joel Kenya only has two positions that he has not held before. He is a grassroots politician. The only two positions are just governorship and the presidency. And so he has the track record, he has the character, he has the capacity, he has everything it takes to give the PDP and the APC and the SDP and the NPP. Taraba race is not like the federal presidential race. Taraba is the 5-horse race. We have the PDP flagged by a retired Colonel Kefasabu. We have the APC flagged by distinguished Senator Emmanuel Bacha. We have the SDP flagged by House of Rep member Baido. We have also the NMPP flagged by Professor Yade, former VC Taraba State University. But I assure you that Joel Kenya has the war chest to take them up on any platform and defeat them.
When you talk about war chest, I don't know whether you're speaking of money or you're speaking of character. Well, without prejudice to the competency of your candidates, you know, in the upcoming elections, you haven't quite addressed the fact that, you know, the party did not exactly give such a fantastic show. And all of these parties which you mentioned, which you say your candidates are up against, were also represented in the presidential elections. But we saw that it was the PDP that took the cake at the end of the day in Taraba State. So isn't this fighting a losing battle already? Or do you have a different explanation for it?
Now, there's a different explanation. You have to understand. Every politics is local. Now, this is Taraba politics. This is where the people would have to decide in Taraba who would take over the reins of leadership come 29th May. And Julie Kenya is one of the best qualified among them. Like I told you, he's a grassroots politician in the state. If you look at our victory in Taraba State, in the presidential election, a chunk of the votes that made us come second in that presidential election in Taraba State came from Southern Taraba. That's where he represented as a senator. And most especially Okari, that was where the chunk of the vote came out from. And I assure you that he is loved by people in Taraba State, and people are desirous to have him come to lead the affairs of Taraba State and move Taraba to the right direction.
Well, we do know that for the governorship elections, it will take more than winning a local government or two for you to be able to win over an entire state. You have said that in Taraba is a 5-horse race, so it's going to be interesting to see how your candidate will be able to win 25% into thirds of the state. What are his plans in that direction?
Now, his plans are always on the bear. He always explains what he wants to come on board to do. He's somebody that is focused. He's somebody that knows what he wants to do, when he wants to do, how he wants to do it. And he has his plans. Because if you look at what Taraba is going through now, Taraba needs a leader that is focused, a leader that has the capacity to carry out some developmental project in the state. And Julie Kenya has all these qualities. Taraba is a state that you can say when we finance the agricultural sector of Taraba state, Taraba can feed Nigeria. And Taraba has tourism abilities. The Mambila Plateau in Sardona local government is something else. The Unyo Fishing Festival is something else. And these are things that he wants to come on board and finance so that Taribians will enjoy the dividends of democracy. Be excited by leader they elected.
Well, my colleagues in Lagos also have questions for you.
Mr. Benjamin, I'd like to just be clear on this court issue, because, I mean, there's been a lot of back and forth, and dates back all the way to last year. So on the 9th of February, it was reported that Senator Joel Kenya will appeal the judgment of a federal high court, Jalingo, which invalidated his nomination for this coming governorship election. You say another primary was conducted. Does he still have a case he's appealing in court, that particular case now?
Now, when we said he has another primary came, the primary actually came up to douse the tension. The primary came up to settle the whole scores, and the two of them were invited on that fresh primaries, so that the whole thing can be sorted out. And unfortunately, I don't know why, but at the eve of the primaries, Evangelist Philip decided to withdraw, so we don't know why.
Pardon me, I understand that point. You made that point. I'm talking about the court case now. Does Senator Joel Kenya still have an appeal pending in court, still being heard in court now?
Right now, I'm not privy to that information, but as I told you earlier on, where he's moving on with his activities, with his campaign activities, and things are going on fine for us in this part of the past.
So, I mean, Markwe has raised the question as to how this will affect the performance of your party. But Evangelist Philip, as you said earlier on, says, well, his name was published by INEC, so it's, I mean, quite simple as to who the candidate of your party is for that election. Well, for Senator Kenya, he's relying on that primary, the fresh one, which you said was conducted by your party. But my concern is this endorsement now by Evangelist Philip of the PDP's candidates. And naturally, you know how that plays into the minds of those who will be, I mean, the voters generally. And I wonder for you, seeing Evangelist Philip actually endorsing, in fact, he had the banner of the PDP right behind him. First, what does that say about his membership of the party? And also, how is the party handling this? How much of the party structure is with him on that one, and how much are not with him?
If you look at the press conference he gave endorsing the candidature of the PDP. It's within his rights to do that. Like Ayaran said, everyone has the right to make his decision, but none has the right to force his decision on others. It is within his purview to take that decision. But I assure you, it's not scratching the party in any way. The party is still focused. The party, we are closing ranks together with the PCC. We are closing ranks together with all our candidates across board. We are closing ranks with all the local government chairmen and ward leaders and stakeholders. Everybody is on the same page to ensure the victory of the party come 18th of March. Next slide.
So help me understand this, Mr. Benjamin, because for a lot of people, they have said that, well, they've not actually seen photos, clips, they've not really seen your candidate, Senator Kenya, actually campaigning in Taraba State. And they're asking if he's really serious about governing Taraba. I'd like you to speak to that because, I mean, we know how important campaigning, moving around is for any candidate at any level. So what sort of campaigning has he been doing for a lot of people in Taraba? Well, they said they've not seen that just yet.
Banners is not what will make people to vote for you. Posters are not what will make people vote for you. Kenya is somebody who is endeared to the people. He is at the heart of the people. And so some of this, we have our strategies, and we are keeping our cards close to our chest, and we're working them out one by one. And the 11th hour in politics can be a game changer. So we're working, we're doing our underground work, we're carrying our political campaigns here and there at the low, but we're coming out, and it's going to be the game changer that everybody.
Well, Mr. Benjamin, help me understand exactly how that goes, because at the moment we know that the governor of Taraba State is a member of the PDP, and the last election, the presidential election of 25th of last month, was won by the PDP. The Labour Party is largely unknown in a number of places, at least so many people believe. So your candidate coming out, as my colleague has asked you here, Kayode, asking you, I don't even know if anyone can put a face to the identity of your candidate. How many people outside of Taraba, even those in Taraba, can put a face to it? So what exactly are you doing, is your party doing, to first of all erase the word that has gone out from Mr. Munlip about the supporting the PDP candidate and the massive campaign that is needed, because it's just about 6 days or thereabout before the elections?
Let me respond to the statement you made that our candidate is popular. Make no mistake about that. Dwelly Kenya is not the first timer on the scene. This is somebody who has done grassroots politics, from member, Federal House of Rep to senator, has become a minister of the Federal Republic during President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, 2014 thereabout. So this is a politician to reckon with so far Taraba politics is concerned. So he is well known. Like I said in 2011, one of the fiercest political race was in 2011, and so he is known by Tarabians. And I assure you, Tarabians are aware that our candidate is on board for this race. And what will come out will be exactly what was in the national, where people were saying Labour Party had no structure, Labour Party had no this, had no that. And at the end of the day, they were shocked at the result. It's not time to make noise. It's time to deploy your strategy and deploy them efficiently. So that Kenya is in the race, and the result of 18th of March will be the judge.
Pardon me, let me just read this comment by a former PDP deputy chairman, Elia Agabi, who says that the former Minister of Labour and Productivity, Senator Kenya, should not be taken seriously, saying that he's a serial decampee from PDP. He went to ACN, returned to PDP, and went to ABGA. He returned to APC and later left for the PDP, and said that, in fact, in this current dispensation, he had sought a governorship ticket on the platform of the PDP, but lost. He then migrated to the NNPP and again failed to grab the ticket, and now he has decamped to the Labour Party. How does that character, which has been described here, tell on that, the policy or the ideology, I should say, of the Labour Party, which I imagine is from the grassroots up until the national level, the presidential candidate of your party?
It is, everybody has the right to his opinion about anybody. So if that's his opinion, I leave it to him. But other people have their different opinion about distinguished Senator Joel Kenya. And I wouldn't want to go on and forward about why he decamped or whatever he decamped. Everybody has rights of association. So if the platform he is, it will not be comfortable enough or to be a better launch pad for him to achieve what he wants to achieve, he has the right to change. Politicians have been changing from one party to another. It's all about knowing when you are here and the principle does not align with your principle, you move to a better place. So that's what I have to say on this matter.
But doesn't that in a way indicate that, Caribbeans may not be able to trust him to keep to whatever policy or decision that he holds? If he can move from one party to the other, I've almost counted about 10 of those transitions right now. So I'm wondering, what do you think people will make of him if he becomes governor of Taraba State and he moves from party to party the way he has moved, as my colleague has listed out here? What does that say of his capacity to keep his word and keep whatever policy or position he holds on a particular matter in favor of Caribbeans, as you put it?
Party politics is a different body. Leadership and principles are different body. So when he becomes the governor of Taraba State, he has his duties cut out for him. It's not about switching. He's a principled man. Anybody that knows Senator Joel Kenya knows he's a principled man. And he's a man that has people at heart. He's passionate to help people come out of poverty, come out of penury. He's passionate to see people, the state develop, and he has proven that on many platforms as he rises from on leadership ladder up to the level of the Minister of Labour. So he has proven that on every platform. So the issue of him, just give him the leadership, and you will understand what we mean by Joel Kenya being the man for the moment.
Benjamin, just hold on a minute. Let's bring in Philip Munlip, who is in question also. He joins us virtually as well. Good morning, Evangelist Philip Munlip. Thank you for joining us on the program today.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, so from what we hear of James Benjamin, as an evangelist, your word is supposed to be your bond. But it comes across as though that has not been the case, because he says you had agreed to step down and then go with the agreement of the party. But along the way, you pulled off and said, no, you will not be a party to this. So could you tell us what is going on?
I'm so glad that you brought that aspect of it, because I think James is not, Benjamin James is not properly informed about the whole process, and also the person he is speaking about. The entire thing actually started in a way that by the time I begin to unfold the depths of it, it will bring James to a point that he shouldn't have even made the statements he did. I got the ticket of the Labour Party as a consensus candidate. And somewhere along the line, in the early part of August, the chairperson of the party began to mute or plan for my replacement without due cause. And she made some statements which were not properly justified. I ran into a letter that was written by the national office on the 2nd of August, asking, which she actually informed them, telling them that I have withdrawn from the race, and I have written a letter of withdrawal, and a fresh primary should be conducted, which was not true. And she came to put pressure on me At the time she was making this statement, I had not discovered that document, but eventually I did. And so you see, you have a party that wants to change the political narrative of this country. You have a party that wants to redefine the politics of Nigeria. You have a party that wants to have good governance, and a chairperson who builds capacity on falsehood. I think there's something wrong about that. Beyond that, how did Joel came into the scene? Somehow she went to woo Joel to come in, to replace my person. And they were building on falsehood. And when I made that discovery, I went to court to retrieve the letter they said I wrote with an affidavit, which was properly submitted to the national office, national party office. And there I was, my name remained in the INEC portal until on the 4th of October, when the final list was supposed to be published, and I discovered that Joel came with a court order that my name was replaced. So I decided to seek redress in court. And by the special grace of God, the court granted my request. But with the judge actually said a primary should be conducted. But what was the judgment order? The judgment order was that Joel's name should not be submitted to INEC. INEC were in the court, and they knew about it. The second thing was that Joel was found guilty of double nomination. He had contested in PDP, like it was earlier said. He also went to NNPP, secured a senatorial ticket, and now to Labour. So as far as the court was concerned, Joel was not qualified.
Yeah, but Mr. Philip,
even though,
Mr. Mulip,
yeah,
in that,
yes,
when you say that he was found to have double nomination, I'm sure you're also aware of the part that the party, your party, was arguing. How is it that the court will listen to another party, in that's the PDP specifically now, who were arguing, they said they were arguing in your favor against the candidates who Labour Party wanted? So they were wondering what the connection is. And then they now say, oh, is that why you decided to step down and throw your weight behind the PDP because they were arguing in your behalf? Was this the plan all along?
Let me put the record straight. I went to court. PDP went to court on two different notes. We only met in court. The judge ruled in my favor, just like he ruled in the favor of the PDP. So at no point did I sit with PDP to drag Joel to court. The truth still remains that I went to seek justice in court. And so my decision and the people around me to support PDP was based on the reality on ground and the falsehood that the party has not been able to establish. Now, after the ruling at the Federal High Court, which was granted in my favor, and a request for a fresh primaries was to be done, the Labour Party decided not to properly inform me about the primaries arrangement. In fact, they kept the information away from me. It was like a direct connivance between the party, Joel, and, to edge me out of the entire thing. However, it might also interest you to know that I was not informed of I was not officially informed of the primaries. I only got to know, you see,
okay, so
about
wait,
it.
Pardon me, Mr. Jumping. You were not officially informed, as you say, but
yes,
you were informed because Mr. Benjamin says that you began the process of participating and then pulled out. Why?
No, that was not true. Oh. That was not true. I went to the national office to seek the letter of the primaries. I was not given. Here in the state, the chairperson did not at any point in time got across to me about the primaries. And let it also be known that INEC was not in the primaries. So it was an action in fidelity.
So could you tell us then, why did you decide to pull out and support PDP?
Yes, I did so on 2 grounds. Number one, I went back to court to seek the interpretation of the judgment and to file a case against the primaries that was conducted. Secondly, I had made an appeal to the Federal High Court, seeking, to establish the fact that some of the things I sought in the review were not granted. And what was it? I had actually sought for the full restoration of my candidate, which was not granted me, but rather that we should go for a fresh primaries. Now, on this note, the court process had delayed to the point at which I made that endorsement, because I sat with all the people that are around about me and to take a decision, given the fact that the governorship election was supposed to take place last Saturday. And so we all sat down and decided to endorse the PDP according to our judgment, who seems to be a better candidate than most of the candidates that were on ground. Now, may I also add this, that I hear them talk about the Labour Party. I lead the entire support group in the state under the guise of CBBN. It was not an individual decision. It was a decision of all the support group members. We selected members from the 168 wards of Taraba State, and one single members from all the 16 local government and 2 development areas of Taraba State. And we sat.
But at the moment,
to take the,
your party, Labour Party, says you are not the governorship candidate. You're not their candidate, and that Senator Kenya is the candidate. So can you lay claim to the candidature, especially if the matter has not been finally decided?
Now, as far as this matter is concerned, it is established that we're in court. And if we're in court, the courts are yet to put the matter to bed. So that informed why I had to endorse the PDP candidate.
This is very interesting. It gets even more interesting by the day. So while you're in court, you're already endorsing another candidate of another political party. Isn't that anti-party?
You won't call that anti-party, because I have people that are run about me. And as a leader of the support group called CBBN, I have people to cater for. And we took a decision unanimously, given the situation in the state, given also the fact that Joel has not been established as the authentic candidate. So if the court has not yet granted the appeal that I went to seek, at least we should vote for somebody who is credible. And as far as we are concerned, the most credible candidate in this matter was the PDP candidate.
So you'd rather support the candidate of another political party than support the candidate of your own political party?
Because I am actually supposed to be the candidate by the reason of the judgment. And let me also bring to bear.
In other words, sir, sorry to interrupt you. In other words, if I cannot have it, then nobody else on my party will have it. I'd rather support another party. That's essentially what you're saying.
That is, to some extent, not quite, because I clearly had somebody say, Joel had not gone around the state. I mean, first of all, somebody should find out from Joel, what is his strength in terms of the forthcoming election on ground? He's not been there. He's all the way been in Abuja. And as far as the political scenario in Taraba State is, we have not seen Joel make the desired impact. That's the truth about the matter. So Taraba would want to have good governance. We would also want to have good governance. We want to have people that have the pulse and the feeling of the people. Wearing the option, the PDP candidate stands out to be the person we should support. I'm not the first person to have endorsed another candidate. We've seen it done in other states.
There's also been talk. I don't know whether you are aware of this or you're also privy to it, that they can, as the Christian Association of Nigeria in Taraba State has endorsed the PDP candidate, and this is something that other parties are not happy about. Are you aware of this?
That is the can. I think I speak fairly and best. I would like to rather concentrate on the issue that concerns me. Whatever had informed the can to do that, I wouldn't like to speak on their behalf. I only speak based on my own person and the groups that are around about me. We decided to endorse Lieutenant Colonel Kefas, the PDP candidate, because we feel he can deliver, since my ticket had been delayed by the process of the court.
Well, I know my colleagues in Lagos have further questions for you, so I'll send it to them.
Well, thank you, Mark. Evangelist Philip, it's quite interesting, as a lot of people have noted, what's playing out, because it sort of takes away from that, picture, that image a lot of people have of the Labour Party, especially coming off of the presidential election. But three issues I'd like you to quickly respond to, just to get more clarity. Did you write that notice of withdrawal of candidature letter dated 7/8/2022? I have cited it. Did you write it?
Yeah, that has been taken by event because the court has ruled on that matter in my favor.
No, pardon me. Did you write it? Yes or no?
Yes, I did. But like I said, I went back to court to retrieve that letter. And the Federal High Court, Jalingo, has actually ruled in my favor, establishing the point that I was actually, that I wrote that letter under duress.
How do you mean under duress? Was a gun pointed at you? Were you I don't know. What do you mean under duress, if you could just explain to Nigerians?
Yes, I think I'm glad to also respond to this aspect of the question. In fact, as a matter of fact, when the said letter I talked about was supposed to be written, the chairperson constantly kept me under pressure. Write this letter, withdraw from the candidature. I didn't know, like I said earlier, she had already gone to the national office to tell them that I had withdrawn, and she wanted to justify her claim. I have the letter here with me that was written by the national office.
All right.
So,
I'm sorry, you can land on that quickly, pardon me.
Yeah, and so for her to portray her claim and the information she gave them at the national level, to establish the fact that I have withdrawn, she came constantly put pressure on me and raised people, including some of the candidates on ground, on me.
Yeah. On what ground did you agree to write that letter? Did you have in mind to withdraw from the race by yourself?
No. She only said to me that, in fact, as a matter of fact, what led to the writing of the letter was, one, before I had that discovery, she actually said, I mean, imagine when I secured the ticket, she eventually said that the money of the ticket has been increased. Subsequently, in the course of trying to handle that issue, she said her national chairman had actually said I should withdraw. I made bold to have seen the national chairman and asked. He said, but I didn't inform him. But I tried his line and he didn't get across. So on a Sunday, the 7th of August, she came to my house in the morning, insisted on that because she had a candidate she was shopping for to replace my person.
Right.
So.
Okay, pardon me, because of time, just to cover some other areas. Were you paid any money to step down? Was any money transferred to you to step down?
As a matter of fact, that was the big lie that Joel told on my behalf. He said, I sold my ticket to him for 5 million, and then he gave me an advance of 500,000, which was a lie, which was a lie, which was a lie. In fact, the 500,000 naira he talked about was actually the money that was transferred to me for the flight that I paid to Abuja, and the accommodation, my hotel accommodation, because I didn't go to Abuja at my own instant.
Sorry, who transferred the money?
I was actually invited to come down to Abuja.
Who transferred the said 500,000 to you, which, I mean, is...
It was Joel in Kenya, in the presence of the president of the Middle Belt, who, he said he was going to refund my transport. I said no, I didn't ask him for money. But the president of the Middle Belt said, you didn't come here at your own instant. Please, can you accept the money? I didn't even know it was 500,000. So he transferred the money. But the narrative on the transaction narration was actually reading transportation. So that was what actually happened.
Have you received such monies before that time?
No.
Is it customary in the Labour Party for such monies to be paid?
No, please, I didn't get your question.
Is it something that is normal within the Labour Party to get such allowances for travel?
No, it was not a Labour Party affair. This was an invitation that was extended to me to discuss my ticket because they wanted Joel to take over the ticket.
So if you got the ticket legitimately, according to the rules of the game within your party, on what premise then were you asked, or was it suggested to you, to surrender your ticket, knowing that you personally had an agenda for the people of Taraba?
Yeah, from time to time when people get involved in politics, others who are interested in such positions to seek to negotiate with parties that are involved, you see, there will be a substitution. But in this case, the approach of it was wrong. The approach of it was completely wrong. And above all, when this blatant lie was told about my person by Joel, and it was all over the media, he sought to sit down with me to discuss. I said, no, go back to the press, retrieve the lie you have spoken about me. Then we can now sit down and talk.
Okay.
But he didn't want to do so.
I mean, we're just counting down to the governorship election, and I mean, I just wonder what this will mean for your party. But just quickly, you earlier on recognized the supremacy of the party in your actions. You said that the chairman of your party came to speak to you, and then you thought, okay, let me step down based on the things that she had told you, basically respecting the supremacy of the party. But in endorsing the candidate of the PDP now, you said that it was with a support group, not with your party. So I wonder, do you still respect the supremacy of your party, the Labour Party, except, of course, you have decamped to the PDP?
Let me also make some things very clear here. That as far as I am concerned, I'm still in Labour Party. Secondly, I respect the supremacy of the party. However, organizations are run based on principle. And the cardinal principle that holds the party is justice. So any action that is actually executed based on injustice, naturally, will generate problem. And that is where we find ourselves where we are. If you want to rob James to pay Peter, there will be a problem. And that's exactly where we are.
James, one of the James that you just highlighted now. But incidentally, Senator Kenya was supposed to be on the program, but he got across later yesterday that he had to travel and as such could not make it. But James Benjamin, you heard Evangelist Philip concerning what actually transpired, saying you were not properly informed of the matter. Are you in the clear now of what he said? Could you unmute first? Can you unmute yourself?
Can you hear me now?
Go ahead, please. Yes.
All right. Like I said earlier on, Evangelist Philip is somebody I hold in high esteem. I respect inside politics and outside politics. The truth of the matter is this. He said he was not properly or officially, information, when you have an information that social primaries will take place at this particular place, at this particular time, the onus is on you to strategize, come up with your team on how to win in the primaries. And I, as a secretary of the party, wrote a letter, went to his spokesman, looked for him, I didn't see him. I went to his office. Nobody was in the office. I dropped it at his door. I even sent a soft copy to his spokesman's WhatsApp. And his spokesman was the one that called the state chairperson of the party, Dr. Mrs. Esther Johnson, and said they are going to be involved in the primaries. So they are in the know of the primaries. The issue of information has crossed. But right now, being officially or whatever is just something I can't really fathom right now. But information has crossed, and they are aware that the primaries will take place at so time, at so place. So the rest is left for them to do the needful. But if they refuse to do the needful, there is no need pushing the blame on the party.
So, James, how will the supporters in this state, what are they supposed to do now that there's this confusion as to what the party is going to do this Saturday?
This Saturday, Chamberlain, like I said, we are on our A game. All the local government chairmen of the party are on board. The state ESCOs are on board, and the PCC, everybody is on board. With the support groups, everybody is on board to ensure the victory of Senator Joel Kenya. Make no mistake about it. So everybody is on board to ensure that victory is assured come this Saturday at the polls in Taraba State. All the 168 wards, our leaders are ready. All the 3,597 polling units across Taraba State, we have people on board to ensure the victory. Thank you.
All right. So, Evangelist Philip, you say you are still a member of the party, but you are clearly going against what the party will want, Evangelist Philip. How do you explain that? Because this is clearly sabotaging the effort of your party. Why didn't you let the party decide who is a better person to support, as opposed to you unilaterally taking that decision? And could you unmute while you speak?
Like I was trying to say, as a matter of fact, I by no means have sabotaged the party. Like I said earlier, is the team leader of the support group in the state. And this is what forms the pillar of the party. The support group, the leader of this support group, is a strong force to be reckoned with. And their interests must be properly represented. In any case, while I'm still dragging issue with them in the court, and the court has not yet heard me, my people must have a place to pinch themselves. But let me clear the issue about what James talked about information. The letter he said that was pushed under the door of my spokesman, you see, he did not tell you people at what time he brought the letter. He did not also tell you people what type of letter was it. That was a public notice, and that public notice was actually a notice that did not indicate asking me to come for primaries.
All right.
Beyond that,
well, you got the letter
in the midnight.
Oh, okay.
The information came very late in the night. And as at 10 a.m. when the primaries was supposed to be starting, I was not yet in the know.
All right.
So it was already a planned thing, just
okay. We need to wrap up.
To join.
Evangelist,
to court.
Thank you.
I have gone to court to address this particular issue.
Thank you very much, Evangelist Philip Munlip and James Benjamin. Thank you both for coming on. We're back in a moment. Stay with us.